This show is about two people giving their opinions. They are not experts on the matter. They are just people who want to have a chat. If you have any questions about morality or any other issues, please talk to the priest. Yes or no? Women wearing pants.
Ooh, that's a hot button issue right there, isn't it? So with the caveat that this is opinions, right? This is my opinion. This isn't, I don't know. I'm not trying to be a guide of what we can do or can't do. In general, women wearing pants is fine with me. So there's obviously distinctions there, right? I mean, you can't, tights or something like that is different. You know, they have to be
right. Modesty pants. Is, yeah, exactly. Right.
Yeah. But in general, I have no problem with that. I don't think it's, for me personally, it's like not an occasion of sin if they're modest pants. For me personally, from a social perspective, that's not an issue. And I think that's the trick of this question, is so much of it comes down to the context of the group or the culture of, you know, whatever sub-society you have.
I'm going to say no, though. And actually, I would even disagree with your last statement. I mean, I would say, first of all, as you said, modesty is just, we all know that. We all know that it has to be modest, dresses, pants, etc. So let's take that out of the equation. So I do think that the issue is, and there's a great pamphlet written by Cardinal Siri back in, I think it was 1960. So yes, it was after Vatican or during Vatican II. So it's 1961, something like that. Somewhere, it's like right in the middle of Vatican II. But it's very good. And really his argument was that it wasn't about modesty. It was about women taking on the roles of men in society and trying to kind of blend in with the, you know, the masculine, you know, dress, I suppose, you know, and what men do in society, being leaders, going out in the workforce, etc. And that taking away from the family unit, you know, which has been a Catholic, you know, staple since Catholicism began, really since society. I mean, you know, women have done work, you know, maybe in the fields or in the houses, but in general, you would hope that if you're in a family, you would not have to do that. And that's something that I think pants is maybe it's a microcosm, but it is part of it. So it's getting into your head, hey, we're wearing the same thing as men. We can do the same thing as men do. And I think to me, that's an absolute negative. So I think women should not wear pants, and that they should distinguish themselves from men.
Isn't that a little superficial though? I mean, at some level, the pants are going to make you a man. You know, like I get what you're saying, that it's a part of the equation, but it's such a small part. You know, and like, you're married. Do you ever like have your wife help you around the house or around the yard or something, cleaning or doing chores or something like that?
Yeah.
I mean, isn't it a whole lot easier when they're wearing pants? You know.
My wife never wears pants.
Never once.
No, not never once, but now never, and that purely by her own choice. I absolutely had no say in that. We've had conversations, but I was never like, hey, you should ever. I was like, hey, you know, she wore pants when we first got married and when we dated, and it was fine. Like I prefer nice dresses and skirts, but I'd never pushed that. She just came to that herself, totally by herself. Everyone can ask her that too. It's absolutely true. And no, she never wears pants. And she finds really that once she started wearing dresses and skirts all day, every day, that she feels really strange wearing pants. And again, she would say that herself. And that it's just something that she doesn't want to do anymore. And I think that, again, someone would have to ask her exactly why that is. I can't exactly tell you, but I again think that to me, in my opinion, it is objectively more beautiful. See, again, subjectively.
Yeah, I agree with that. Right.
So then it's the ideal, right? So and if that's the ideal, it's something I think. But I know that's an argument. Men should always wear suit and tie. So I understand that. I am wearing a t-shirt right now.
You don't even have a collared shirt. Yeah,
I know, it's terrible. Yeah.
I could also come at it from the angle of there are certain situations where it's more modest to wear pants than a skirt. if it's really windy outside, or if you're, doing something on the floor where you have to be bending over a lot. I don't know. Like, would you be okay with them in that situation from a modesty perspective? Or you still think like, just conduct yourself in a way that doesn't make it immodest?
Yeah. And I think if you have a dress or a skirt that's going to be blowing up too high in the wind, then that's not the appropriate dress to be wearing in the wind. I think you obviously have to think, maybe you got to wear it longer down. Maybe it's going to be heavier. I don't know, the exact details. Ladies, help me out in the comment section here. But I do think, again, taking out all modesty, I think, if you talk, okay, you can talk about the Mary-like standards and this is what Mary wore, but I think that's a hard comparison because that's more about modesty, because obviously our Lord also wore what we would consider a dress, so that doesn't work, that you can't consider the standards of the time of Christ. That just doesn't.
Culture does matter.
Culture
right?
changes, absolutely. And so,
norms change.
And exactly. So, right now, women wearing pants in society is considered normal. And so I certainly myself wouldn't condemn it. I mean, I don't have the power anyway, but I wouldn't be like with my wife, I was never like, you can't wear pants, but it was still in my mind. It was like, hey, my ideal. And I would absolutely say if you ask me, you should not wear pants. And I think to me, again, it's clear and it differentiates. And I think that you see this, our world has turned feminist. It is a feminine world in a bad way, because the women, have taken over the parts of society and men have backed off. And I think we really need to try to separate that more. And I think maybe the superficial thing is a good start. You say, look, women, let's separate it. You're going to wear what women wear, men wear what men wear. And it's a good place to begin.
And I see what you're saying about being countercultural and kind of driving the culture forward that way. And like, I get that for sure. I just think there are many more ways that would be more useful than always wearing a skirt.
So how, and I know Dad you can even cut this out, Dad, if you want, but what other ways would you go? I mean, what's an example of, how do you make it a more masculine society? I mean, I'd say, first of all, you and I can just be more masculine, right? We're
that's part of it,
alligators, right? And that's definitely part of it.
Yeah, no, that's definitely part of it. And staying home when you have kids, making meals, cleaning the house, like all those type of things that feminists hate that, women in general are, meant to do. Those things are all good things to do. I don't know, pulling women out of, as a woman, not trying to go into positions where it's a career path that you can't take years off to raise children, or even if you're not married or not having children, don't get into typically masculine type roles of upper level management or whatever. I think there's, just from a pure cultural perspective, in my opinion, the skirts and dresses are a very, very small piece of that. And, you make a good argument. I'm not disagreeing that could be a factor in changing the culture, but to harp on it and to make it a commandment of the church is where I draw the line.
I am with you there, and we can end in agreement that I think there are groups, traditionalist groups, let's say, that absolutely make it like a dogma, and it becomes like your primary consideration of your faith in life, and that's to me, that's absolutely absurd. It is something, and I think it
becomes a form of it becomes a form of Phariseeism.
100%. That's absolutely right, and that's anything we do, right? Anything we do, we should do for the right reasons. That's exactly, if we wear a shirt and a tie, and I've had people say this, I go, well, you just want to do that because you want to look nice. It's like, well, yeah, you can't, that can be an issue. You can't have the pride and the vanity. But the point is that especially if you're going to church, you should dress for God. And if in your mind you're dressing up because you're like, I look pretty good. Yeah, that's wrong. But objectively, dressing up nice for church is good. Now, it's still in you what you do, if you're going to get grace from it or not, of course. But again, I guess that is, extenuating circumstances. So to wrap it up, women wearing pants, I say no. Eric says.
I says yes.